Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the June 2025 edition of the Madison Historic District Board of Review. Brenna, could we have a roll call, please?
Bill Jewell,
Present.
Happy Smith,
Present.
Chris Cody,
Present.
Kim McWilliams,
Present.
Ryan Rogers,
Present.
Jared Anderson,
Present.
Jed Skillman.
Present.
Did everyone have a chance to review the meetings of the meeting last month?
Yes.
Everyone?
I
Any
move that-
corrections, changes?
No, I move the minutes be approved as submitted.
Second.
I second that.
Okay, Bill Jewell,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Kim McWilliams,
Approve.
Ryan Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
I want to welcome you all to the Madison meeting. We'll conduct this meeting by having either the owner or their representative come up to the podium when they're called, adjust the mic to where we can hear you, and give us your name and where you live. At that point, Brenna will review the project that's been given to the city. We'll ask the owner if he has any additional information or anything they'd like to put on. We will then discuss it, and we will have a finding of fact. And at that point, we will vote on it and come up with a result. All right.
We'll start with 123 Jefferson Street. This one is another table as requested by the homeowner. They plan to attend next month, but we will need to table for this month.
Brenda, are you aware if he's going to take the recent covering off to reveal this?
That, as far as I know, was the plan. I will be talking to them again as the next meeting comes up to discuss any changes
Okay.
that might have been made.
Good. I make a motion that we move the project at 123 to the next meeting. 123 Jefferson Street to the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, Bill Jewell,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Kim McWilliams,
Approve.
Ryan Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
Okay, and then I don't have a slide for this, but you would have seen it on the main slide that 412 Broadway Street has been withdrawn. We will not be hearing about that anymore.
Brenda, does that mean they're not going to cover any of those alley windows?
They will not.
You're shaking your head no. What's that mean?
They will not be covering those.
Good. Good work, girl. You can have your job another month.
So at this point, that was a non-issue, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, good, good. So,
All righty. Well, I think we must be ready. First one will be Nancy Burkhart at 205 East Street. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Nancy and Jim Burkhart, we own 203 East Street and also 205 East Street. And if you walk by, there's two houses up in the same yard, so we share a yard. I grew up at 203 East Street, and that was my grandparents' house at
oh, really?
205 East Street. Actually, I'm the fourth generation to live there,
Oh, nice.
so
Really?
that's fun. And my children will be the fifth, and we have two children, so two houses, so they each
You're
have a
all
house.
set.
Okay. Brenna, could you go over the project as it's been reported or
Yes.
given to the city?
Yes, so 205 East Street is a non-contributing structure built in about 1950. It's zoned historic district residential, and they are wanting to enlarge the current concrete porch with a wood porch, like the neighboring house. And here are the pictures. This is current,
Yeah.
and that is proposed. And then this is size.
Is there anything you'd like to add at this point?
No, we're really wanting to enlarge it. We have a long-term renter there, and we think it would just look nicer. And there's just such dead space on the north side. You see where the existing concrete porch is, to where the property line is, or till we want to extend. That's just dead space. It's really a cat box, and we don't have cats. So we just want to make it nicer. And I really do want railings on the north side and the east side, because there's an older gentleman that lives there, or rents from us. So I just think it'd be nicer for him, and I think it would look nicer. And improve the property.
Yeah, Bill.
I don't know if that was me or not. So now, what I don't see, you're not putting any kind of a roof over it or anything like that? Okay. Do you have any idea what your railings would possibly look like?
I think we're trying to do a cable system so it's as transparent as possible.
Okay.
Nancy, say that again, please. What?
A cable
Wood railings.
system. Well, wood.
Well, the top part would be a wood rail, and then you have your posts, and then in between the posts would be cable.
Okay,
Steel,
yes.
stainless steel
Yeah.
cable.
And Ms. Burkhardt, what kind of wood are you going to use?
Well, like we used on ours, just.
Pressure
Right.
treated.
So-
pine.
Here's my thought. So, any of the lumber you get at Lowe's, what's that other place? Bender.
Yeah.
So I put a deck in, upper level deck in, it's rotted out twice in 4 years. So I would go to Phillips Lumber and get thermally modified wood. And so it's had all the moisture taken out of the wood. And it's a beautiful dark brown amber. And you can go to HMI, and they've done 2 projects with this wood. So it's going to last longer than what any of this, because right now, all our old homes have, what's old wood called?
Old growth.
Old growth wood, which lasts hundreds of years, and now they don't last 3. So it's just a thought, but, think of these other options versus putting down the least expensive thing you have, which means, in my mind, you're going to replace it in 5 years. So
What was the name of that lumber man?
Phillips Lumber, it's on the way to Deputy.
Yes, yes.
Don't follow GPS, follow the road. But great people, I mean, they've done, so it's just family business, but thermally modified wood. And you can talk to, what's David's last name? Welch?
No,
David.
Cart.
David Cart at HMI, and he will lead you, and Jessica can help you with this too. But, it's only been around for a very few years in Madison. But it's a game changer in terms of things last. Cost you 30-40% more than Bender Lowe's lumber, so.
Just
But-
to add to that, I have for a different purpose tonight, happen to have a sample here. This is for siding on a house, so it's beveled. So your wood would be different, what you would buy perhaps for your deck. But this is the thermally modified wood. This is kind of what it looks like. It is pretty expensive, but it is rot resistant. So it is a neat product to look into if you want to
Yes.
come and take a
I
look at
really
that.
do recommend it, so. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Happy. You made me happy.
Anyone else have something?
So the wood you intend to use is pressure treated, that's what you specified so far. Will it ever be stained or painted, or is it just?
No, we never stained or painted ours.
No, not the plan, but
Okay.
Are you going to remove the old porch,
We'll go
jackhammer
right
out?
over it.
What?
We'll
Take
go
right
right
on
over it.
top of it.
That's what we did on 203 East Street. We had the exact same porch at 203 East Street, and we went right over it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anybody else from the board?
I think it sounds like a nice addition to
Oh,
the
it's gonna be
property. I
great.
live right around the corner and walk past your houses all the time, and I love your houses. They're kind of set up, and they're very cool. And I think it sounds like a nice addition to the property.
All right, does anyone from the general public have anything to offer on this? Anyone? Happy, think you could do findings of facts for us?
Sure. Okay, so we're talking about a porch, a new porch. So we're in section 14 of the Historic District Guidelines. And a lot of this is about preserving historic porches. So y'all don't have a historic porch there, so a lot of this does not apply. It's okay, covering, okay. Okay, 14.8, we're not creating a false historical appearance. We want to use architectural details compatible with the style, period, and detailing of your house. You have a 1950s house. So Okay, reconstruct missing porches. Okay, we don't have that. So there's a lot here about the reconstruction of a historic porch, so that's not what you're doing here. I think, in most regards, it seems like you're meeting our guidelines.
Does anyone else feel the same way?
Start with Chris.
Okay.
Yes.
I agree, Chris, is what you say.
I agree, Chris, with what you say.
I agree with Happy, same reasons.
No, I agree.
I agree.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that the Madison Historic Board of Review approve the porch design proposed for 205 East Street by Nancy Burkhart as proposed.
I second.
Roll call?
Bill Jewell,
Did you
I approve.
Nicole?
Pardon?
Did you say Nicole?
I think it's a Brown. I approve.
Kathy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Tim McWilliams,
Approve.
Brian Rogers,
Approved.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Judd Scoman.
Approve.
Sounds like you may pick your paperwork up from the city if you'd like, or have them mail it to you. That's
Brenda,
okay.
do they need a building permit?
That one I'm not sure. Yeah, we can check with Brian.
Thank you.
All right. Next one is Mike Estes at 126 Wall Street. Thank you for coming.
No, thanks for having me. Mike Estes, 825 West 3rd Street. Thanks.
Brenna?
Okay, so this structure is a contributing structure built in 1870, zoned residential medium density. And the request is to replace and extend the railings on the Wall Street side, which is the side that you see right now. And then to add railings to the 3rd Street side, which is hidden on the other side of the house. So this is what it was before, and it was taken out during the storm, and this is it now.
Mr. Estes, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, there's probably been 3 times in the last 6 years that trees have fallen along Wall Street and has taken it out over the course of years. So they did once have a roof over this porch, and you can
Look at it.
still see the
Right.
header board that's alongside of it.
Right.
But over the course of these 3 trees breaking or splitting off, it's taken railing, of course, along the way. So I put the railing back with newer railing, and so I wanted to get approval to go ahead and put it on the opposite side. This is a 2-unit apartment building, so I have a downstairs tenant and upstairs tenant, so it's the only apartment building that we own. We own 5 homes downtown, so this is the only one that's has 2 units.
So what exactly are you adding to the Wall Street side? The application states you're extending it?
Okay, so I'm extending it on 3rd Street.
Right.
So it's a Wall Street address, but I have a unit that faces 3rd Street.
Okay.
In this relationship with this picture,
Mhm.
I actually probably should have come before the board prior to putting that back into place.
Right.
So I hedged on that I was going to be okay with our properties downtown. So as you can see, what was left in the remaining picture that I sent to the Plains office is that I went ahead and replaced it so that I had some structure there.
So with the application, so basically the first part of the application has been done.
So it'll be approval of what was done
Okay.
already, and then approval of the requested changes to the other side.
Okay.
All right. Any board members have questions?
I can't really see anything that's going on in that one picture, but I did look up on Google Maps. They had a 2013 picture of your house. So they did have a porch roof and a railing that was there. Sorry if we didn't put this in the slideshow.
It's okay, yeah, I'm familiar with
just
that
kind of-
picture.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious, is that the porch that was destroyed in the storm?
No, that roof was gone afterwards, but that roof was taken out by one of those trees along Wall Street.
Gotcha.
well.
Gotcha. That porch had a little bit more of kind of a historic look to it with the turned posts, and I noticed your neighbor on Third Street, the neighbor to the east of you, they've got a kind of Victorian-looking porch there, and your house is an 1870s house. Might have hoped for maybe a more historic-looking porch. You've got a pretty modern aesthetic going there.
So the folks before me were nice to present themselves to tell you the history of their homes that they had. So let me give you a little background, if you don't mind, so I don't take up too much of your time. So I've lived in the West End my entire life. And most of the time, I've lived in 21 different houses by the time I was 19 years old. So we rented. Coincidentally, this was the first apartment that my mother had lived in when she brought me home from the hospital. So in 1969. So when I had the opportunity to purchase this, it was quite unique to me as well. So I kind of thought that. So I'll take anything that you can give me, because I probably intend to now that I've come before you, because I really, as most people don't want to come to talk about things, but I've been forthcoming in telling you when I've talked to her and her staff, it was immediate. So, I work in North Vernon. I immediately drove down here to make the deadline, so I didn't have to wait another month in July to come before you. But now that I have lots of opportunities that I want to do on the outside of our structure. And so if I don't see you in July, I'll probably see you in August, because I intend to present to you a roof line on that particular structure as well.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
you
very
might
much.
be wondering, the people before you, we said, great, love your porch. There's a really big difference between their house and your house. Their house is, for our historic district, not contributing, which just means it's built after the period of the historicness of the town. And your house is a historic building, which means we care so much more what happens to your house. Not that we don't care about all the houses, but that's why we apply more scrutiny. It might seem like we're being unfair, it's just that we love the historic houses and we want them to have their historic character.
Sure.
So just to explain
Forgive
what,
me, can you tell me your name?
Happy?
Happy. Okay, I heard them when you went roll call, but I wasn't sure. Have you driven by this? to see it
Yes,
firsthand?
yes, I have. And your neighborhood has wonderful historic houses in it. It's just the sweetest neighborhood of wonderful frame historic houses. It's just great.
Okay. It's getting better.
We can see that.
Mr. Estes,
Yes, sir.
when you submitted your application, tell me did you come to City Hall to meet with Brenna and discuss it?
When I submitted it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
So, someone had called the Planning Preservation's office that I had put this railing up, and I got the letter in the mail. And immediately, once I got this letter, the very same night, I immediately emailed Nicole. And I haven't met this young lady up until just recently, and she's been nothing but helpful. And I wanted to make sure that I'm doing exactly what I thought I needed to do, because I thought, yes, there was a structure there. I have a woman that needs some sort of railing that goes up and down this porch. I didn't think that it was out of contents because I was replacing, but I hedged wrong. But the moment that I got the letter, that evening I notified and asked Nicole for some clarification if I need what I needed to do. The very next day, I believe it was, I was right at this deadline in order to make this meeting. So I had talked, it's Brenda, correctly, I want to make sure I didn't mispronounce this. I called, she said, if you can get in here by this deadline, I said, I can be there in 35 minutes. I left my office and came straight to City Hall to fill that out.
Mr. Estes, you're no longer important. We have someone in a cart back there we want to see.
Okay, I'm fantastic. Please approve it and then let me go.
Mr. Estes, I want to thank you, though, for coming
No,
forth
thank
and
you.
trying to, let's put things right, let's make it right, and I appreciate your doing that.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions, or?
Is that the final look? Do you intend to stain it or paint it?
So, I don't intend to paint it, probably stain it, but I don't know.
I think that's the biggest issue I have with it. The stamped metal stands out a lot, and it's obviously not appropriate for the building, and then having pressure-treated lumber, it's just not in character of the building. It looks good. I'm not saying it doesn't, it's just, it's not really appropriate for that particular architecture.
Yeah,
So that's my only concern.
I want to jump in and support that comment. I'm really glad that we're now sort of making lemonades out of lemons and, that there was no initial application for this unapproved work. I don't think that this is significant enough that we're going to ask you to rip it out. I wouldn't make that motion. But this is not something that I would have supported the approval of because it's not appropriate for this house. And as you go to put a roof over it, which I think is fantastic that you're doing that, that's excellent. You're going to have some challenges with how that's designed because there are different approaches that you can take to compatibility with historic structures. And with what you selected to do for this railing, you're going to have to go with differentiation and also make the roof different from the main structure. It probably would have been a lot easier to go with some turnwood balusters and just a simpler, cleaner, modern yet still more appropriate, compatible look. It's tough because this juts out from the plane of the house, so it's very visible as you walk down the street. And it's a missed opportunity to have had a really nice porch. This is still a quality porch. This is still good. It's just for the purposes of historic preservation, not exactly what we would have wanted to see. But again, we're making lemonades out of lemons right now because you're here, you're going to do other work on other buildings, and we're here to help. We're here to help make your projects as successful as possible by trying to give you advice. And look forward to doing that on the rest of your projects. And again, this isn't something where I would want to make a motion to make you destroy it because you didn't get approval for it or something like that.
Sure, thank you for those comments. Visibility is exactly what I was looking for in this structure. And it very well could be that it just gets completely scrapped. I intend to present something pretty aggressive now that I've come before you with a couple of projects, so we'll see how it goes.
All right.
When you go around to the other side, there by the front door, so the style is going to be like the style of the one you've got now. You'll kind of keep with that same style, the more modern metal and wood style.
Well, I'm looking at it, and since you say that, in order to put the covering on the Wall Street side, you're going to have support. So all those uprights that are in the porch now, you're going to have to replace those because they're going to need to be 8 feet tall. So once you start fiddling around like that, consider using wooden spindles and real wooden posts that can be painted to match the trim on the house. Same way with the other side. I mean, it's unfortunate. I'm not going to, just like him, I'm not going to tell you to tear it down, but whoever puts the covering on is going to say you got to tear that down because it's not going to support anything.
That's correct.
So might as well go all the way and turn pieces of wood in that can be painted in the same color as the trim of the house. That's all I have to say.
And just as a note, code doesn't require a railing for anything less than 30 inches from the ground, so it might be a consideration when you do the future work as well. You said there was a older gentleman living in the house and
So lady,
a lady, and you felt like that the railing was necessary for her safety?
she did.
Okay.
Anybody else from the board? Is there anybody else from the general public that would like to comment? In that case, then, I think we need to do finding of fact. Jed, do you think you could do that for us?
6870.
Pages turn.
Okay, design guidelines for porches, retain and preserve historic porches. Well, we heard our piece on that. This was not. We don't have a historic porch, so we're not there rather than replace historic porches. Replace in kind using appropriate materials. And that again, probably not include pressure treated lumber. Sorry about that.
I wondered what you were doing.
The enclosure or other alteration of the original or historic front porches is not appropriate. Well, you're not doing an enclosure. Covering the porch with a non-historic material, well, what are you going to, that's the covering you'll bring back in several months then, right? So I think that's kind of it. And what are we voting on here?
They say it meets the guidelines or does not meet the guidelines.
I'd say it does not meet the guidelines, but I would be willing to vote on it in favor because you've already got it up and you're going to have to change it anyways. So,
Well said, well done.
right to the point.
Yeah, you did good.
Okay. Where is, do you have it written down what,
Not yet. No, we're not doing that yet.
No.
Ask Chris what he thinks.
Chris, what do you think?
Agree.
You agree?
I agree, same reasons.
Jared?
I agree.
Abby?
I agree.
Can we have a roll call?
You agreed, right?
No, not yet. We don't have a motion.
Excuse me.
You did so well. You were on fire the whole meeting.
based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic Board of Review grant approval for a certificate of appropriateness to, don't tell me, I got it written, Mike Estes of, to the 126 Wall Street, for the proposed porch at this address.
I second.
Roll call?
Bill Jewell,
I agree.
Abby Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Agree.
Ken McWilliams,
Agreed.
Brian Rogers,
Abstain.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Stillman.
Approve.
You'll be able to pick your paperwork up from the city, or they can mail it to you, whatever works for you. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. May I ask the board a question?
Sure.
The abstention, what did you abstain, why?
I feel like our historic buildings need to be appreciated more, and we need to try to stick with the materials, but at the same time, I don't want to create an issue for you as a Madison resident. I think that your future work, if you're willing to bring it to us and we can take a look at it, there's a certain amount of appreciation that comes with that. I didn't want to vote against you, so I abstained.
I appreciate you, thank
Yeah.
you very much for sharing that with me. I just wanted to make sure that I understood.
I want to back up my fellow board member and say that after he abstained, I said, gosh darn it, I should have abstained too, because I feel exactly the same way. Glad that you're here now, but unapproved work, you should be proud to come and participate in the preservation of Madison and not try and hedge and get things done without approval.
All right, you're approved.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
But you're
Now
going
we-
to bring us the porch covering, right? When you do the covering?
Oh,
Yes.
I'll bring all that information
Okay.
ahead of time.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. New business,
That's why I'm here. Staff wanted to make a note of some new business that we think the board wants to discuss based on some previous conversations. And since our city attorney, same person, is not available today, and I think that he's got some insight into those discussions for changes to the guidelines, staff approvals, rules of procedure. Our recommendation is to schedule a organizational working session, which is advertised on the public, that they know that's what the board is discussing. And we can work with the board if they choose to schedule that for a time that works for staff and the attorney.
thanks, Nicole.
So I have a question about that, Nicole. That would be in lieu of putting it back on the agenda for next month's meeting?
It
That
would be a working
instead?
session before your next month meeting, so that way all the discussion is advertised correctly, and then anything that would come out of that, since it's not a formal meeting, could be put on the agenda for a vote at the next meeting, yes.
I'm struggling to see how there would be time for all of that, given the legal notifications in the newspaper.
A working session only has to have 48-hour notice.
Who's included in the working session?
It would be all of the board members here today, staff, and the board attorney who was not available today because he's on vacation. But I do think having him at that discussion, since you're talking about some items that require legal input, is necessary.
When's he get back from vacation?
I will have to confirm with him, I'm not sure.
I think as long as all this could happen and we could still be on schedule to discuss at the next board meeting, that seems to me to be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree, Nicole. I think that this is a fantastic idea. If there are other things that we might want to discuss at this meeting, can you give us a deadline for when we would need to email those to you? It'd be great just to handle everything we can think of all at once in one meeting.
And Nicole, do we need to make a motion that we would be doing this, or is this something we can discuss behind the scenes, or?
No, I think a motion would be good, that you're going to hold that, and then if the board agrees with that motion, then we can proceed on trying to schedule that,
What motion would we make?
that you're going to hold a working session.
I move that the Madison Historic Board of Review have a working session scheduled soon to discuss amendment to the rules of procedure, but in such time that we can still go ahead and have our regular discussion and vote at the next board meeting, which is in July.
I second that.
Could we have roll call vote, please? Yes, I approve.
Bobby Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approve?
Ryan Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
Then, Nicole, question. So you had mentioned that the city attorney is looking at the ordinance
Yes.
for, I forget which number and stuff. Which year of the ordinance is he looking at? 81 or the revisal
All of
that
it.
happened at some point in time?
Yeah, the existing ordinance as it's approved by council is what he's looking at.
And what year is that?
There's been a couple of amendments over the years. That section, I believe, has not been amended since it was passed in '82.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Really? Because I would think that the most recent versions would have taken the building inspector out of that clause and put the preservationist in
It
that
did
clause.
not.
Lucky
as,
you.
As much as I tried to get the board attorney at that time to do that when I started 9 years ago, but yeah, no, it hasn't yet. So that's something we can add to the discussion too, is any ordinance potential amendments.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Mr. Estes, you can leave.
No, I'm.
You're entertained? What's that line from the movie? Are you not entertained?
Your government at work, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's a fantastic idea, that we could also, in addition to addressing things that fall under our rules of procedure, develop ordinance amendment or any other type of suggestions that could then be taken to other bodies.
Right.
We, as staff, kind of figured there was a larger discussion, which is why we came to recommend.
So what
working
6-hour session have you booked out?
Yeah, we'll send out an email probably tomorrow to get schedules, but if you go home and think about it tonight, you can email Brenna with your availability for the next couple of weeks, and we'll work on getting it scheduled.
Anyone else? Anybody from
Thanks,
the
Nicole.
general public like to talk before we close the meeting up?
Well, I had a
more stuff to do.
I had a quick thing. So, this is really popular siding that is going up around town a lot when wood siding, when wood siding is deemed not rehabilitatable, not restorable. This is the hardy board or LP siding with the rough side out. I'm feeling like the more historic look would be the smooth side out, so I was hoping for some kind of educational session. The other thing that's really popular is to have the really wide reveal, and I think with the historic structures, they get a
Good work,
smaller
Happy.
piece and does
I couldn't find that, so thank you.
a better reveal.
Right.
And also the wood is beveled. So there's some really cool products that are out there, and I just wish we could have more education about it, because it seems like those would be simple things to simpler, I shouldn't say simple, nothing is simple. There would be simpler things that could maintain a more historic look when we do have the unfortunate situation of where we have to replace the wood siding. So that's why I brought the show and tell items.
I think that that's one of the principal things that we should address at the working session is how to provide better guidance for replacement materials and figure out how to craft some of these suggestions into really useful language, perhaps as an amendment to our guidelines. But that's going to take some work in our 6-hour session.
That's the first 3.
We may have multiple sessions at this point, which is fine. The board used to do that a while back, and
Really?
to Happy's point, think about educational things that you want to see as a board. When I was in Brenna's position, I always had at least once a year training for the board, and I want to get that rolling again now that Brenna's kind of been brought up to speed.
Yeah, she's been here 4, 5, 6 whole months.
Yep, yep.
Actually, a year already.
Pardon me?
A year.
Really?
June 17th, it was a year.
So like I said, since she's been
Congratulations.
brought up to speed, she's, yeah.
All
We're going
right,
to start the
anybody
trainings
else?
again.
Anybody else have any new business
No,
at this
no,
point?
Brenda,
Staff reports.
Brenda gets this new stuff.
Just real quick.
Well,
You
we're
can't
getting
get
there.
out.
We're getting the staff report next, please.
Okay, so we had 6 staff approvals this month.
Hey, now go get that baby. Bring him in here.
Mr.
For a
Elliott.
fence, for gutters, a sign, a roof, and 2 more signs. And actually, that last sign was today. So that's those. And then the ones from last year, we just had 4, and all of them are done. That's all I've got.
What happened with the chimney there?
That was a recommendation from, I believe, DNR, for like caps to be put on, to protect from, there were like animals able to access the house, and water, I believe. So those were put on just to,
Okay, so the chimney stayed.
yes,
And-
yeah, it was just caps.
Okay. Excellent, thank you.
Anybody else? I'd entertain a motion to dismiss, to adjourn, dismiss, adjourn.
I offer a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Way to go, Jed.
Yeah.
You're on fire tonight.
All right.
Really.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody opposed? Good evening.
Go, Mark.